brought to you by Nerdlerd, the joke series. A pastor concluded that his church was getting into very serious financial troubles while checking the church storeroom. He discovered several cartons of new Bibles that had never been opened and distributed. So at his Sunday sermon, he asked for 3 volunteers from the congregation who would be willing to sell the Bibles door to door for $10 each to raise the desperately needed money for the church. Jack, Paul, and Louie all raised their hands to volunteer for the task. The minister knew that Jack and Paul earned their living as salesmen and were likely capable of selling some Bibles, but he had serious doubts about Louie, who was a local farmer who had always kept to himself because he was embarrassed by his speech impediment. Poor Louie stuttered badly, but, not wanting to discourage Louie, the minister decided to let him try anyway. He sent the 3 of them away with the back seat of their cars stacked with Bibles. He asked them to meet with him and report the results of their door-to-door selling efforts the following Sunday. Anxious to find out how successful they were, the minister immediately asked Jack, "Well, Jack, how did you make out selling our Bibles last week?" Proudly handing the reverend an envelope, Jack replied, "Using my sales prowess, I was able to sell 20 Bibles, and here's the $200 I collected on behalf of the church. Fine job, Jack," the minister said, vigorously shaking his hand. "You are indeed a fine salesman, and the church is indebted to you." Turning to Paul, "And Paul, how many Bibles did you sell for the church last week?" Paul, smiling and sticking out his chest, confidently replied, "I am a professional salesman. I sold 28 Bibles on behalf of the church, and here's $280 I collected." The minister responded, "That's absolutely splendid, Paul. You are truly a professional salesman, and the church is indebted to you." Apprehensively, the minister turned to Louie and said, "And Louie, did you manage to sell any Bibles last week?" Louie silently offered the minister a large envelope. The minister opened it and counted the contents. "What is this?" the minister exclaimed. "Louie, there's $3,200 in here. Are you suggesting that you sold 320 Bibles for the church, door to door, in just 1 week?" Louie just nodded. "That's impossible." Both Jack and Paul said in unison, "We are professional salesmen, yet you claim to have sold 10 times as many Bibles as we could. Yes, this does seem unlikely." The minister agreed. "I think you'd better explain how you managed to accomplish this." Louie shrugged. I really do don't K and no FFF for SHSHSH sure," he stammered, impatiently. Peter interrupted, "For crying out loud, Louie, just tell us what you said to them when they answered the door." "All ISS said wah was, we would, why you, like TT to BBB by, this, BB Bible FF4. "Okay Louie, we get the point," says the minister.